This is bank fraud. This is what they're alleging. Mortgage fraud is obtaining a loan under fraudulent circumstances, but he wants to punish everyone else for the thing he himself is guilty of. Ding, 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 ding. I wish I had a bell, like a hypocrisy bell. Maybe I need to get myself a bell, even just like a ding, just a hypocrisy bell for the desk. Donald Trump has been weaponizing the government and his Department of Justice against several individuals. And the only crime that they can drum up that ends up being fake anyway is mortgage fraud. James Comey, Letitia James, Lisa Cook, Eric Swalwell. There's been a host of people that Donald Trump is accusing of mortgage fraud. Would you be surprised at all to learn that Donald Trump, he himself, is guilty of mortgage fraud, of doing the same thing, actually not even the same thing, worse cases of mortgage fraud that Donald Trump is guilty of in past years, buying multiple homes and saying that those homes are his primary residence that are in Florida when he actually lived in New York City. It won't be shocking to you to learn that, right? That is why I am very thankful for outlets like ProPublica to give us the proof, the evidence of the thing that we probably could have said, yeah, that's probably true. But now we know it's true. This headline should send shudders down the spines of every fascist in this administration, because it means they cannot hide from the things they're accusing others of, which they can't even secure indictments over because it's such bullshit. This is from ProPublica. Trump's own mortgages match his description of mortgage fraud, records reveal. The Trump administration has argued that Fed board member Lisa Cook may have committed mortgage fraud by declaring more than one primary residence on her loans. We found Trump once did the very thing he called, quote, deceitful and potentially criminal. This is why when there's an outlet like, for instance, ProPublica, if you have an extra few dollars, you should support this organization. They are truly independent. They are not a corporate-owned entity. They're not a tributary of CBS News or some other nonsense. They are independent, and they break amazing stories all the time with ferocity. For months, the Trump administration has been accusing its political enemies of mortgage fraud for claiming more than one primary residence. President Donald Trump branded one foe who did so, quote, deceitful and potentially criminal. He called another crooked on Truth Social and pushed the attorney general to take action. But years earlier, Trump did the very thing he's accusing his enemies of, records show. Now, this is a very lengthy article that goes into great detail about all of this. I will link it below. I would suggest you read every single word to make yourself in full understanding of what we're talking about. I'm only going to read a few paragraphs to give you kind of the broad strokes, but do go and read this on ProPublica. Do support ProPublica if you have it within your financial means, because it's important. Here's the lay of the land here. Trump bought the two homes, which both sit on Woodbridge Road, directly north of Mar-a-Lago, and got mortgages in quick succession in December of 1993 and January 1994. The lender on both mortgages, one for $525,000 and one for $1.2 million, was Merrill Lynch, which is now owned, for your edification, I learned in the article, is now owned by Bank of America. Each of the mortgage documents signed by Trump contain the standard occupancy requirement that he must make the property his principal residence within 60 days and live there for at least a year, unless the lender agrees otherwise or there were extenuating circumstances. But ProPublica could not find evidence Trump ever lived in either of the properties. Legal documents and federal election records from the period give his address as Trump Tower in Manhattan. Trump would officially change his permanent residence to Florida only decades later in 2019. A Vanity Fair profile published in March 1994 describes Trump spending time in Manhattan and at Mar-a-Lago itself. Now, You might ask yourself, and I think it's the natural question to ask, how does this exactly line up with the accusations against Letitia James, the Attorney General of the state of New York, and Lisa Cook, who's on the board of the Federal Reserve? How is it that what he did lines up against what he's accused them of doing? Well, you might be happy to know that I'm going to tell you. Here's how it lines up with Letitia James' case. A central claim in the case that the Trump Justice Department brought against her is that she purchased a house in Virginia, pledging to her lender that it would serve as her second home, then proceeded to use it as an investment property and rent it out. Quote, "This misrepresentation allowed James to obtain favorable loans not available for investment properties," according to the indictment. Trump's Florida mortgage agreements appear to have made a more significant misrepresentation. So it's not comparable, it's actually worse. Donald Trump did a worse thing than the crime that he's alleging that Letitia James committed, that he can't even secure an indictment on. Again, for your edification, Trump's Florida mortgage agreements appear to have made a more significant misrepresentation, as he claimed those homes would be his primary residence, not his secondary home, as James did before proceeding to rent them out. So he didn't say, oh yeah, it's a secondary home, and then it was an investment, which I'm not even sure of those details because we can't believe anything Donald Trump or his DOJ alleges. He said they would both be his primary residence, while even Mar-a-Lago wasn't his primary residence. It was Trump Tower in New York City. Now, Lisa Cook, on the other hand, little bit of different situation. This is how it lines up with Donald Trump's situation. The circumstances around Trump's mortgages are also similar to the case his administration has made against Lisa Cook, a member of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. Trump declared he was firing Cook earlier this year over her mortgages, as he has sought to bend the traditionally independent agency to his will and force it to lower interest rates. Cook, who denied wrongdoing, has sued to block the termination and continues to serve on the Fed board as the legal fight continues. In a letter to Cook, Trump specifically noted that she signed 2 primary residence mortgages within weeks of each other, just as records show he did in Florida. He called the loans potentially criminal and wrote, at a minimum, this is what Donald Trump wrote about Lisa Cook, at a minimum, the conduct at issue exhibits the sort of gross negligence in financial transactions that calls into question your competence and trustworthiness. So, Donald Trump, guilty of the exact same thing he's accusing someone else of, by his own logic, by his own reasoning, by his own estimation, we should be calling into question his competence and trustworthiness. And they brought receipts. They've got copies of mortgage papers. There are 2 that are included in this particular article, but let me tell you, there's gonna be more. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And let me also tell you, my estimation, my prediction would be, it's not just these 2 houses. It's going to be others. There's going to be all kinds of others that Donald Trump fraudulently lied about. This is bank fraud. This is what they're alleging. Mortgage fraud is obtaining a loan under fraudulent circumstances. But he wants to punish everyone else for the thing he himself is guilty of. Now, this is beyond the statute of limitations. He can't be prosecuted for this anymore, and he wouldn't be anyway because the Supreme Court saw fit to grant him wild, insane, unprecedented immunity as president of the United States. But one more feather in the hypocrisy cap. Bing! Ding, 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 ding. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's talk about it in the comments below. Go read this article. I very much encourage you to do so and to support ProPublica. You can call and leave me a voicemail of fewer than 3 minutes. Please keep them brief, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. I will see you next time. Until then, be genuine and take care of one another.